How's it going, Radical viewers? Grim Gaddy right back into it with another character build because sadly we don't have a Dungeon of the Mad Mage session this time. My apologies for that. A few players sadly couldn't make it, and we decided instead of doing a one-shot with what few of us there were, we opted just not to do it. That's not too bad news because that means I can work on this stuff where, I attempt to take a fictional character from something and try to make a D&D character sheet for it. And seeing as how I just watched all three of the John Wick movies back to back, that's going to be the subject matter today. We're going to attempt to recreate Keanu Reeves' character, John Wick, from John Wick Chapter 2, John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, And I gotta say, after watching that third movie finally, I feel like I have a good idea how to run it. And as usual, the kind of main goal of this little series, I guess, is to attempt to recreate these with no homebrew, if at all possible, as little multi-classing as possible, and basically have it to where it's either A, Adventure League legal, or you can throw this at any DM you're trying to get into a game for, and they can't just outright tell you no, But without further ado, let's go ahead and wipe this sheet and start with a level 1 character. One fair warning, this is a multi-class build, and it's got some variables to it that I kind of like because you can play around with it more. Starting off, race, alignment, yada yada yada. Well, John Wick is a human, so that's easy enough. We're going to go with a variant human. For the extra language proficiency, I personally went with Dwarvish, just because when it comes to the idea of what would Russian be in Dungeons & Dragons, Dwarvish comes to mind for some reason, even though they have a Scottish accent. It's strange. I think Stregobor from my Dragon Heist campaign ruined me for that. I think dwarves have really rough Russian accents now. Subrace, variant human, because we're going to want a feat. And it's a very good feat, I promise. Subrace ability score increase, we're going to put that into dexterity and con. And skill proficiencies for the extra one, I picked animal handling because dogs. Moving on to class, we are going to throw on the good old rogue. And for the skill proficiencies, for that, we're going to throw on investigation, perception, athletics. It'll make sense, I promise. Intimidation. For the expertise, we're going to throw on that to athletics and stealth. It will make sense, I promise. You're going to hear me repeat that a few times, because a lot of this doesn't make sense until we finally hit the point where it does. For the ability score, if you're going by point buy, fantastic. If you're rolling for stats and you have to roll really well, I recommend this class because you can really jank it a little bit more. But if you're going for just straight up point buy, we're going to have a 13 strength, 15 in dex, 12 in con, 11 in intelligence, 12 in wisdom, and 10 in charisma. Which, after everything's said and done at the end of this build, is going to give you 13 strength, 16 dex, 14 con. That's coming from a feat, by the way. Well, we got it up to 14, not 13. 11 intelligence, 12 wisdom, and 10 charisma. Background. This was easy enough for a John Wick build. We're going to go with a criminal background, straight from the player's handbook. Extra tool proficiency. Take your pick, honestly. I mean, I like the playing card set idea, but frankly, Three Dragon Ante set, Dragon Chest set, Dice set. I can see John playing a few of those, honestly. Criminal specialty, Hire Killer. Literally what he is. Personality traits, these are just recommendations. By all means, go through them on your own and make your own version of it. Don't trust my word on this. But I personally like, I'm incredibly slow to trust. Those who seem fairest often have the most to hide. I mean, he's part of a massive league of assassins that span the globe that all are absurdly fine dressers. And some not so fine when you hit Casablanca. And I don't pay attention to the risks in this situation, never tell me the odds. Literally goes up against the Russian mob because they killed his dog and stole his car. I felt like that fit really well. Ideal. Freedom. Chains are meant to be broken, as are those who would forge them. That one I'm thinking about changing after seeing the third movie, because I'm trying not to give anything away, but there's a moment where I kind of clash with that, but ultimately I stick with it. Bond. Something important was taken from me, and I aim to steal it back. Now, this one I'm going to get a little kooky with. Originally, I picked an innocent person as in prison for a crime I committed. I'm okay with that. Despite the fact in this world where you can kill people in broad daylight and no one bats a frickin' eye, which I thought was weird when I saw the third movie. And the second movie, now I think about it, that happens there too. But we're going to take, when I see something valuable, I can't think about anything about how to steal it. We're going to take that, we're going to change it up a little bit. When I see something, I can't help but think about how I can use it to potentially kill somebody. Because John Wick is pretty infamous for killing a couple of men with a pencil. Let's just say it moves beyond the pencil in the third movie. Again, I'm not going to give it away, but it gets kind of funny. And it's right out of the gate, too. So we're going to go ahead and select that and remember to tag it, screw it around later. Moving on to the class equipment. We're just going to take the good old classic rogue class equipment. Honestly, it doesn't really matter what you pick because you're going to be swapping out quite a bit of this right down the line. And frankly, ultimately, it's not going to matter too much because at the first 3 feet we're going to get. But if you want, take up a rapier, take up a short bow, just to get you started. Burglar's pack. You have to get into the houses and homes and places where our targets are, aren't they? We're assassins. Arcane is a mystery to you, of course, and here we go. For the feats, I chose Tavern Brawler, and we put that spray point that can either go into Strength or Con, into Con. And what that basically gives us is we are now proficient with improvised weapons, a pencil, a book, a belt, a whatever the hell. Your unarmed strikes use a D4 for damage, which I appreciate. It still is going to use the strength mod, which kind of sucks, but honestly, we just need to hit them if we're going to be that close. So we can, when you hit a creature with an armed strike or improvised weapon on your turn, you can use a bonus action to attempt to grapple the target. That's going to get a little insane later on. Now I picked that not just for the improvised weapons, but that grappling feature because John Wick wrestles with a lot of people in his fights. Like, I mean, Keanu actually went through a lot of jiu-jitsu and judo training to prepare for the movies. Like, it's absurd going through his training regimen and looking at it and wondering, how the hell is he still in one piece after all that? And how the hell has he not have dislocated his everything? But that's the level 1 build. While it does sound like fun, it's also high risk, high reward, because this is definitely a build that is far better later down the line than it is right out of the gate. It's fun out of the gate, don't get me wrong, but it's your classic squishy rogue out of the gate. Now for fun, let's go ahead and bump this up to level 10 and kind of offer some suggestions here, shall we? Because that's right around the point where either A, you're just about to end the campaign and more than likely you've had a character die, or B, I played a few games where it was just like immediately high-end campaign. Like it was 10 to 20 and it was strange. Fun, but strange. So for a level 10 build of this, let's go ahead and bump Rogue up to 5 at least. We're going to pick Assassin for the archetype. Because John Wick. He's an assassin first and foremost. And here's the fun thing, the multi-class. And this is where I kind of throw a suggestion at everyone watching this that wants to try to make this build. I would say, in the very least, a minimum of 2 fighter for the classic optimization reason of action surge and all that. You can go all the way to 5 for the extra attack. It will be cool and nice to have, but not necessary. I mean, we're going to. Needless to say, it's not warranted. And of course, for the martial archetype, I'm not going to lie, Battlemaster. It gives you so much to do. But you're not just completely relying on how much your bonus action can do, you're also relying on what your attacks can do as well. That and with Assassinate doubling up and potentially just auto-critting, that gets a little absurd down the line. Scary. And of course what that gives us is, you know, the classic road stuff. Cunning action, bonus proficiencies, because we're an assassin with a disguise kit, very handy. Poisoner's kit, kind of handy. Assassinate, which every DM hates. The good old ability score increases, our sneak attack increases, uncanny dodge, and extra expertise, which we're going to throw into, frankly, dealer's choice. I like the idea of intimidation, because it's funny to me. And perception, because we have to be on the lookout for every other would-be assassin that's trying to kill us. For John Wick. Rex Canado. Now going into the Battlemaster stuff, of course, we get Second Wind, which I like as in... Because John Wick gets screwed up throughout the movie. Like, He is very much human. It's kind of stunning how he survives all the things he goes through. And Second Wind kind of is a nice way to represent that, along with Uncanny Dodge, where it looks brutal, but it's not as bad as it seems, and Second Wind, he gets his breath back. For the fighting style, we're going to choose Archery, because regrettably, with what we're going to do, we're not going to take the ability score increases. What you see here is kind of what we're going to have. It makes sense, I promise. I said I was going to say that a lot, I wasn't kidding. And of course, with Battle Master, we also get good old combat superiority, which gives us a bunch of fun little maneuvers that my DM from Avarice hated me for, because sometimes I took about as long as our bard in trying to figure out what I was going to do. And honestly, these are mostly dealers. I like Trip Attack. Trip Attack is very useful if you're trying to get that last hit in. Fainting Attack, it's not bad if it's the one I'm thinking about. Yeah, that is the one I'm thinking about. It is handy, though. You know, if you happen to, you can just waste your bonus action and you have advantage on the next attack roll. My apologies, it's late at night, I'm kind of tired, so my brain's lagging behind a little. Lunging attack, not that bad. Goading attack, it was kind of fun. Disarming attack is a good one, though. Because then you could just pick their weapon and beat them with it. I like the idea, because that's something else John Wick does a lot. Okay, and of course it says we have 4 superiority die. Student of War. For this, kind of depends what you want. We already have a free artist tools just from the fact that because Criminal and because Rogue, we already have 2 these tool skills, one we can swap out for free for anything. I do like the idea of Smith's tools because of one particular moment in the 3rd movie that I think warrants it. And as for the final one, what have you. Have fun with it. I have no suggestion for that because honestly I didn't think of it. And at that point, I already have too many. And of course, at 5th level, we'll get the extra attack, just to make this build hurt that much. As I said before, we're not going to take the ability score improvements, we are instead going to take some feats. And they're very worthwhile feats, I promise. Let's go apply those changes. 34 hit points ain't that bad. Oh, it's because I'm Rogue 6. My apologies for that. This was supposed to be level 10. It'd be more in the 60 range then. Anyway, on to the feats I mentioned. For the first feat we're going to pick up, we're going to take Crossbow Expert. And what Crossbow Expert does, which sadly I actually screwed up the rules on this for almost 2-3 years, and I completely had to have the rulebook slapped across the head with it. You ignore the loading quality of crossbows at which you are proficient, like any crossbow, or better yet, the hand crossbow. Being within 5 feet of a hostile creature doesn't impose disadvantage on your ranged attack rolls, which is really nice because then we can point blank someone and not worry about that. Means we have an opportunity to get sneak attack on them at point blank for fun. And when you use your attack action and attack with a one-handed weapon, like a hand crossbow, you can use a bonus action to attack with a hand crossbow you are holding, like the hand crossbow you just attacked with because it's a one-handed weapon. I did double check and triple check. That's rules as written. You basically can now attack with your bonus action as long as you're using a hand crossbow. It's stupid, but that's how it's written and that's how it works. And for the final one, or the first one if you prefer. I like the idea of giving this the first one. We're going to take Grappler. Why are we taking Grappler? Because it gives us advantage on attack rolls against a creature we are grappling. Like the one we just stabbed with a pencil and grappled with our bonus action. We now have advantage on, and therefore constantly are sneak attacking for fun and free. As long as he doesn't break that grapple check. Oh, look at that though. You have a 9 in athletics. That's a pretty good roll, no matter how you look at it. And if we really want to take someone alive, for some reason, despite being an assassin, we can use our action to try to pin the creature grappled by you, make another check. If we succeed, you and the creature are both restrained. Yeah. Needless to say, the build sounds fun. And while, yes, stat-wise, it's kind of going to leave you wanting, the way I was trying to set this up was I was trying to make this just slightly better than, say, your average commoner who's just all 10 down the line. You know, he's exceptional in the eyes of your everyday Joe, but not much more beyond that. It's what he can do that makes John Wick exceptional. And it's the fact that he is literally the man you send to hunt the boogeyman. And my god, does he do it well. Boy, howdy, does he do it ever so well. But anyway, that's the build. As usual, I hope you all enjoyed. And if you all did enjoy, a great way of showing that support, as always, is by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and, you know, sharing with your friends. And of course, checking out my other D&D stuff, be it my character builds from The Witcher, of course, Geralt, which I think is still my more popular one, Mage Hawk, which was really fun, or the playtest, where I actually took those builds and threw them into a session, and saw how they did. The builds actually ended up in a number of sessions, because I couldn't find an opportunity to get my Warforged, or Dungeon of the Mad Mage. Anyway, I'm rambling. Once again, though, thank you all for watching. And as usual, here's to those that love us, losers that lost us. As always, the lucky sons of bitches that get to meet us. And we'll catch you all in the video.